How's it going, Blasters? This is David at Blade Banter. We're going to be talking to Effenberk knives. This is going to be a lot of his new knives are really amazing. So we're going to start out with an icebreaker question. So pick a number from 1 to 25.
Pick a number from 1 to 25. Yep. 11 is my favorite number.
11, good. Been anywhere recently for the first time?
Have I been anywhere recently for the first time?
Yeah,
Portland.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually been to like 30-some countries, and this is the first time I've been to the West Coast of the United States.
Oh, interesting. So now, the popular knives that you have right now, you just released your model now. So now, I guess, how's it going as far as the release and the acceptance?
It's actually, I have several orders I need to get caught up on. It's been really busy. We had the Sigma Elite, and then I designed the Rage, which was a completely convertible knife, and I wanted to incorporate the convertibility of the Rage into the Sigma. So about 3.5 months ago, we moved into a commercial facility. I bought commercial equipment, and I completely modified the Sigma so that it had the Rage pivot system. So the actual pivot is pressed in to the frame, and people always wanted to be able to swap the scale sides. But to do that, you had to press the pivot out. And when you press the pivot in and out a bunch of times, over time, it's going to degrade the quality of that pivot press fit.
Yeah, so change the tolerance a little bit.
Right. So I came up with the idea of using the Rage pivot, which has threads that go all the way through it, so that the knife can be together, but you could take the scale off and then put the trim screw into the pivot and screw that in, and the screws into the backspacer, and then just change the scale at will while never having to take the knife apart.
Yeah. So then you can have one knife to meet all your different things you want to do and where you want to go.
Before, this curve inside here covered one of the backspacer screws, so I modified the contour of that. So now you can get a screwdriver in there, or a T10 tool, to take the pocket clip out without taking the knife apart as well. And I also modified the backspacer system, so the backspacer now is basically just a cover that covers 2 standoffs. So now the backspacer can actually be removed from the knife with just one screw. It just holds that cover in. And the actual backspacer of the knife, the high tolerance precision parts, are these standoffs.
Awesome.
So that's another new feature. So basically the clip, the backspacer, and the scale can all be interchanged without having to take the knife apart, thanks to the patent pending pivot that we designed for the Rage model, which I'm hoping to get to eventually, but I'm just a one-man show, so it's difficult to get it all done.
Yeah, so as we were talking about before, as far as the weight reduction, so now the program that you use for that to reduce some of the weight and for the knife, so everybody that picks it up is like, oh wow, that's really light as far as the knife goes.
There's a software that's used in engineering, they use it in aviation, they use it in automotive. It's called OptiStruct, and it's a very expensive software package that works along the lines of FEA, which is finite element analysis. And what it does is it will calculate based on your strength requirements and then remove all the material that you don't need. So this was all just cored out using OptiStruct to take all the weight out of it. But these arcs along the bottom here, there's like an arc that sweeps this way and an arc that sweeps that way. That gives, and then this central post, that gives me all the rigidity of a solid titanium scale.
Nice.
But the knife in 3mm form, this is a 4mm hollow grind. This is a 3mm flat grind. The 3mm comes in at around 4.7 ounces for a full tie knife.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
And then the 4mm is right around 5 ounces. And when people pick them up, they say, "What is this, aluminum?"
Yeah.
But it's not. It's titanium. It's just that I keep all that titanium at my shop in the scrap bin, so you don't have to walk around with it on the street.
Very good. And then what's the newest things coming out? I know you have a few knives kind of in the works.
I have a cleaver that's coming out, the Picatinny cleaver. It has an actual Picatinny rail on the top of the cleaver. We have the Rage coming out, and I also have a martial arts fighting guy that wanted me to design with him a custom fighting knife.
Oh, very interesting.
So we're designing it's going to have a quick open. When you draw it out of your pocket, it opens.
Yeah, similar to the wave feature.
The wave feature patent ran out.
Yeah, correct.
So,
oh, gotcha. That's the way to go.
Now it's available for use by others.
Yeah, same thing like the Benchmade as far as the access lock for them.
Right. Well, I mean, at one time the frame lock was patented, you know, but that stuff runs out and people get their 20 years to keep all the money, and then after that, everybody else can take a stab. I mean, for the next 20 years, if you want to do an interchangeable pivot and leave the knife together, you're going to talk to me.
Yep.
So
that's the way to go. I mean, that's a very much ingenious way to do it, and ingenuity there. So
right.
That's great.
And this knife is really easy to take apart actually for disassembly as well. Every single fastener on this knife is T10. So you don't need anything more than one tool. I use this Craftsman tool because I like the end of it, but it comes with a T10 disassembly tool, so you could take the whole knife apart with just one tool.
Awesome.
That was another one of my design deliverables.
And then first, do you remember as far as like the first knife that you ever maybe owned at one point? Like,
the first knife I ever owned was like one of those old buck with the wood and the brass.
Yeah, just the 110, the standard buck 110.
Yep, and I had a ZT that I really liked. And then I moved to Europe where you can't carry a knife around.
Gotcha.
And I lived there for 5 years doing automotive design projects. Then when I moved back, we had kids. And the wife's like, you can't have these knives around. So I've been kind of away from it a while.
Getting back into it a little bit.
Yeah, at heart, I'm a designer, engineer kind of guy. And so
I think you engineered a really great knife, though.
I just put as much tech as I can squeeze into them and try to make them as light as possible.
All right, so do appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Hey, great. We'll see you around the internet.